Okay, let's calculate the deadweight loss from a tariff depicted in this market here, right? Okay, so we see we have a demand curve, a supply curve, and we see that the world price is $15 for whatever good this is, and there's a $10 tariff. So the world price plus the tariff is $25. Okay, so the world price plus a tariff of $25, that means that any imported goods for this type of good, whatever it happens to be, every single one of those units will have a $10 tax on it. And so that means that essentially the price will be $25 for this good in this economy. Okay, so that means the consumer surplus would be everything below the demand curve up to the quantity demanded, which would be 70. So this triangle shape up here, that would all be consumer surplus, and then producer surplus would be everything over here, right? Everything below the price and above the supply curve. So that would be producer surplus with the tariff. Without the tariff, the consumer surplus would be a much bigger triangle, right? So it would be the triangle here, this area up here, plus this sliver here all the way up to 100, right? So what that means is that all of this is going to be missing. Sorry, this triangle, this rectangle, and that triangle are going to be missing from both consumer surplus and producer surplus. But this rectangle here actually counts as government revenue from the tariff, because you see that the height of that rectangle is the $10 tariff, and the width of the triangle is the quantity demanded domestically minus the quantity supplied domestically under that tariff. And so that rectangle there is actually government revenue, right? So we can figure out the government revenue from the tariff just by the area of that rectangle there. It'd be $10 times 20, so it'd be $200, right, worth of revenue. So that wouldn't be counted as deadweight loss. However, these two triangles here, they will be missing from total surplus, right? And so that means that those two areas of those two triangles there, you add those together, and that actually represents deadweight loss, because it would have been part of total surplus without the tariff, but with the tariff now nobody's enjoying that, right? Okay, so the deadweight loss will be equal to the area of those two triangles, and so we basically need to add up, find the areas of these triangles, and then add them together, and that will give up as deadweight loss. So first, the red triangle, right? So the area of the red triangle is going to be 1/2 times, well, the vertical dimension of the triangle is $10, right? The amount of the tariff, times 20, the difference between 50 and 30, right? So it has a base of 20. So 1/2 $10 times 20, which happens to be exactly $100. Okay, so that's the first part of the deadweight loss, the area of that red triangle. And the blue triangle actually has slightly different dimensions, right? So it's slightly different. So the area of the blue triangle, see that's 1/2. Again, the vertical dimension of the triangle is $10, right? So 1/2 $10. And then this time the width, the horizontal dimension is 30 units, right? So we have 1/2 times $10 times 30, which is exactly $150. And remember, we want to add these two areas. These are both part of pieces of deadweight loss. If we add them together, that will give us total deadweight loss, because there's no other areas that represent deadweight loss. So we add those together, $100 plus 150, and we find that the deadweight loss is equal to $250. All right.